So what are we doing today? Well, what I have done is I've given myself way more work, of course. I might have mentioned a little while ago that I'd originally planned to make a villain for each of the four, but that'd be way too much work. And this was something I wanted to get done last October, and it's now February, so it's way too late for that. But then I made the mistake of thinking about it because they're models I really want to make. Because these models are cute and all, but I really like the more sort of villain and horror and monster kind of thing. So this was a chance to do that at the same time as still being a bit cute and for charity. So I made the mistake of going, well, I'm on a walk with the dog. I'll just write some little profiles for them, just in case. What if I did? Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be stupid? To try to cram in 3 more models. And then I was like, oh, I really like these profiles. And then I made the big mistake of sketching them out. And I love these guys. I have to sculpt them. So the Goblin Rogue is the Archer, is Elite Survival. Gabby the Shark Gourmet or Gourmand. I'm not entirely sure whether I'll do gourmet or gourmand. I figure gourmet is a word people know a bit more, but gourmand actually fits them. But maybe gourmet is ironic. A gourmet is someone with a really good taste in food, and a gourmand is just someone who eats loads of food, which is much more in line with Gabby. And they're, of course, the Silo's rival. And then Thep the Lich. I might change some of these names, but I quite like more. It was Astra, the Orb Wizard's rival. And Thep I actually had started making before Riley ages ago, which actually looks a lot nicer than I remembered. I like this face. I remember not enjoying the head, so I never went back to it. But actually, I do like this. And it's so old, it's got the very early... this was the very first wheelchair I made that later became Leaf, the Elf Ranger's wheelchair. You can see a couple of things that are similar about it. The shape is kind of the elf's, and a couple of elements that ended up in the wizard's wheelchair as well, like these rings. And I think the seat, not the seat, the footrest. So I think I will reuse this head, but I'll change the clothes a bit. One thing I meant to do before I started this actually was look up what kind of mummies there are. So Thep's going to be a mummy, sort of mummy lich. And so the obvious thing to do is Egyptian, but, Warhammer has a whole faction already of Egyptian mummy lichers, basically. I might keep that anyway, but I'm going to go have a look at what other mummies we've got, because I know you get sort of mummified Tibetan monks and that kind of thing. So let's look at mummification, scroll past the AI gibberish. Thank you, Google. Some of these I should probably not put on YouTube because they are just pictures of dead bodies, so I won't show those. Okay, so as well as Egyptian mummies, there are all kinds of mummies, obviously. There's Aztec mummies, and, Aztecs are awesome aesthetic. So I think we'll do a mix, because the issue with the Aztecs is they famously didn't use wheels. So I've made whatever I make a little tricky. And I had this idea of a sort of Egyptian chariot. So we might do a mix. Anyway, what I really want to get on, and thankfully I made this, sorry, a good song is coming on, I'm now headbanging. It's the problem with listening to music at the same time. I'm now listening to Thank You Next by DJ Super Monkey Ball, who's been removed from Spotify, so I hope they didn't do anything terrible, because this is a bop. But thankfully I made this rig at the very start of the Whizz Kidz project, and I actually saved it, which is very rare for me, so thank you, past me. What I really want to do is make the shark person, because of course, if anybody knows me, well, I'm just going to check that this actually rigs up. Yeah, nice. I need to do that yet. Like, if anybody knows me, they know that I love the street sharks. And that's one of those things that, just hits you as a kid and then your life has changed forever. Now you love the street sharks for life. So anthropomorphic sharks, always my thing. So I couldn't resist. To be honest, a lot of this project is an excuse to make a shark person. I ran a campaign in a custom D&D setting a while back that had Sharkfolk as one of the main antagonists. Misunderstood antagonist? Sort of. This is also a fun chance for me to add some of those elements. This is quite a different looking one than they were, but, still fun. Yeah, here we go, found it. So this is my shark person design, which actually quite useful. It's got the fin on the head, which is what I'm going to need to do here to prevent the fin going through the back of the chair. And this nice little dolphin skull, I think, and the bound up fins to become feet. I might continue with that. So yeah, there's some design elements in here that I'll use for fun, and also because I like them. Little coral sword, seaweed. It's been a long time since I looked at this stuff. This was our party, Pon Realman, Lorelia and her hat, her cat, Heraclea, Willie B, Dwight, and their noble steed, Pinchy. Then it was set on this Greek island off the coast of Faerun, or wherever the hell D&D is meant to be set. Oh wait, no, that's Faerun, okay. I'm wrong. Split between 2 undersea empires of Karchara and Siren, land of the Mer. Given the island's called Somos, and it's got places like Kefali, Cardia, Bratza, Podi, and Padilla, someone who speaks Greek can probably guess what the twist of this island was going to be. So yeah, we'll bring that in as a nice second reference. And actually, we even have the pot belly already, so yeah. Where is this not working? Is this somehow masked itself? Did I do that? I'm going to clear it. Good. I would have never been able to figure that out previously. So they'd have sort of fins in the arms and legs. Let's get rid of this this rig, so we can actually have a good look. Do these kind of fin feet, quite like that. I'm just going to go for webbed, but I like the fin feet because they're weird. And I haven't set Dintopper properly. So this time we're going to use, last time we did everything from scratch and we tried to resist using Dintopper as much as possible early on. Now, for speed's sake, we're using all of those crutches. See what I do with sharks, the heads kind of come out. They don't have much bow over it. They kind of look fat anyway. I love a shark. I'm already, come here. Yeah, someone like had our old pal, Mario. The 120 by 120 spear, the building block of all my stuff. Slightly worried. Yes, okay. This is maybe not the best rig to actually use. Oh well, we'll just try and make do. So I can't separate the arms and legs out. It's already sealed together. I think I have the other one that's unsealed, but oh well, this will hopefully work. And if not, oh well, our life is ruined. Sharks have very triangular teeth. I think it'd be funny if they had like buck teeth. Nice. I don't want to make this too scary, so I'm going to make it a little cuter, I think, if I can. Yeah, that way they're looking a little bit less sort of angry. And move the cheekbones up so they're slightly obscuring the lower eye, which just always pops a smile. Well, I like in this original sketch here that the nose kind of comes up. Yeah, that's cute. Is this cute? It is to me. Then I want to put the gills on the body, so I'm going to move the head a little bit. What do shark gills look like? Absolutely disgusting. Ugh. Well, we're not doing that. Sure. And we will actually give them the gross little gribbly bits. I think is what they're called. Quite like this so far, so we'll start working on the clothes. Can always finalize the model once it's closed up and everything. And I'm thinking some pretty simple clothes here. I want a bib. I want this sort of seaweed shawl that you can see in the sketch, and these little bindings to keep the fins together. I'll do for now. For those, if I remember right. Yeah, like I'm being bulky a bit. Well, if I remember right, I'll put some decoration on, maybe a charm or something. And with bibs is they're a bit plain. It's like, how do you make one more interesting looking? I do not know. Sure, I mean, that looks like a bib. I like the sort of over-the-shoulder look in the sketch. It's like a toga. It seems decadent. It's rough the right shape, so I'm going to save that because I'm going to make it all wiggly with seaweed. Yeah, not bad. I think I'll give them the sort of frilly fronds that seaweed has. But first, I'll want to pose it so that all that detail isn't lost when it deforms. I think the head maybe needs to be big. Yeah, hopefully these, I mean, sort of really just smooth them out a little bit. So I think the lines look a little bit like these rat. Oh, I haven't saved this at any point. These leg fins are going to give me some trouble, aren't they, when I put them in the chair? But pretty fun. And only took like half an hour. Maybe move over to the Lich for a second to keep things fun. And don't want to do the chairs. I'm procrastinating the chairs. Lich has a cat thing, so we can keep that skull. I don't know about this. I might use this for the Goblin, actually. Start giving the bones and the skeleton a bit more definition. These ribs are in completely the wrong way, so I'm going to have to mess about with this. But thanks to my old pal, Dintopper, it shouldn't be too difficult. All right, how do I get rid of this little bit? Smooth? Are you going to help me out? Auto. Yeah. Inflate these ribs out a bit, and then I'll flatten them to make them all equal, hopefully. It's probably a better tool for this, but oh well. It's the constant refrain of my sculpting. Problem is the skeleton really should be made of individual bones rigged to the rig's bones. But oh well, we'll try it this way. Not to interrupt things, the dog started screaming at the delivery man giving me paints. But I do have new paints, so that's fun. Maybe I'll also do a bit of painting today because it's the weekend. Most of this I'm going to cover up with clothes, but it'd be nice for the bits that do show through. The nice thing about 3D modeling is in a video game, all this kind of silly modeling would be a really bad idea. But with 3D modeling, it doesn't matter as long as you can remesh the whole thing together at the end. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. It's the basis. Luckily, Aztec and the general shape of Aztec and Egyptian sort of holy clothes is actually pretty similar with this kind of semicircle cowl. Nice, that looks pretty cool. Somewhat unfortunate, although fortunate in life. Previous cats of Theb. Okay, I really like this shape. I'm going to keep this wherever I do. Sort of band. This thing is like the back. Get rid of these wonderful things for a sec. What we want? Fun shape. We want these to kind of emphasize the friendly expression, not the kind of scowl. Although these are villains, I don't think any of them are evil. They're just troublesome. Antagonists. Ah, this is fun. I love sculpting armor like this. Well, apart from when this kind of thing happens, monomolecular hat edge, not really what you want. And I can just make it go away, and that'll surely not cause any troubles later. Ugh, where's this? Where's this here? Go away. Just tuck that away, like hiding mess under the bed. Just as I was saying, I like this stuff. Yeah, it's just very fun, like putting simple patterns and shapes together, creating what looks complex out of some quite simple techniques. I do need to watch out for not creating too much paint debt though. This already has like 1, 2, 3, 4 elements in it. Let's bring back these great things. Some of the pictures of the Aztec stuff I was looking at, they have these things, I don't know what they are, so I'm making them into sort of little tassels. I don't think they are tassels, but I'm trying not to be, exactly just the one thing. I really like drawing inspiration from cultures that are a long way away from my own, but I know there's a bit of a question of cultural appropriation and how appropriate that is, which I'll have to get into if I ever do my Lanka models, because actually I'd quite like to do a video of that. One of the personal projects I want to do is this kind of skirmish warband based on the kingdom of Lanka from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Some very famous works of Southeast Asian lore and part of the Hindu religion, as well as a bunch of others, I think, in the area. And so I try to be respectful. But I do also, I think it's cool to be introduced to other cultures and not to just have to stick to your own. That seems like a strange kind of cultural segregation almost. And I think people should be introduced to stuff from outside of their own culture. But at the same time, it is true that a lot of the stuff that really gripped me as a kid about foreign cultures was all wrapped up, especially as a Brit, in British imperial demonization almost, or fetishization, dehumanization, exoticizing other cultures, basically, and going, oh, look at these strange people we found. Aren't they very different from us? So that makes it completely okay to steal everything and enslave and shoot them. So I do understand that there is a bit of an edge to it when it comes from a Brit. But no, I just can't help but love when I see something, completely novel in another culture's mythology or art. It really gives you like a sense of the breadth of humanity, I guess, and creativity and the different types of people there are. Put them in a different environment with a different history, and they do completely different things that are still quite recognizably human. Now, is it respectful to draw on all of that to make a sort of a cartoon villain? Perhaps not. But I think until someone cancels me, the worst thing is that, some kid sees the model and goes, oh, this looks cool. And their parent goes, oh, yeah, it looks a bit Aztec-y. And what's that? Oh, no, let's go to a museum and see what the Aztecs are. That kind of thing. So that's what happened to me as a kid. But yeah, it's something that I'll get into a bit when I do the Lanka things, because actually, I went through the kind of design process for Lanka after thinking about it for like a year and having a kind of picture in my head, but not having explored it. And I went on a big search of kind of either cultures that were considered the inspiration for Lanka, or that it's a big part of their mythology that they are in some way descended from Lanka, which is quite a few actually. But then making them villains felt quite uncomfortable. Obviously, we don't do politics on this channel. When I was searching the kind of history of these cultures, you always hit some point at which the British or the Europeans come in and completely mess up the place and derail everything that made them them. Not always, but very, very common. So if you're trying to look at, well, what does it look like if a place like Sri Lanka or Indonesia or India was never colonized? What would their modern stuff look like? And you run into the issue that basically all their history in English is about the colonial periods, and all of their sort of more modern stuff is shaped by British military uniforms, European military uniforms, and that kind of thing. So it got quite depressing. And I had to kind of step back and reevaluate the whole thing. And my way of doing that was by going, okay, well, these guys aren't just baddie, evil baddies. Not the real people, but my fake Lanka people, because Lanka is a demon kingdom. It's they kind of are the baddies. They're led by Demon King Ravana, who's very much a baddie, although he is a more nuanced baddie, which I'll get into in the actual video if we ever do that. So that is to say, I do think about these issues. And, I'm open to being cancelled incredibly hard for my views on it. But I think all that stuff is cool. Very distant cultures are very interesting. And there's certain aspects of them that are obviously the same. But then there's also aspects that aren't. That's interesting too. And aesthetically, they're often very different until some British fellows come along and change all of it to be British at the barrel of a gun. Yeah, apologies, a little bit heavy perhaps, but these are the things I think about. I don't know if it's like one of those things where it's like, it is important that I address this, but it's something that I think about, so I'm talking about it. Because ultimately, I don't think this is that important. Sculpture of a mummy who loves cats. But also, can we just talk about how cool this looks? It looks great. I'm not doing a very good job of reusing loads of parts because I have some of these parts, so I'm just making them instead. So I'm not doing this as efficiently as I would like, but the temptation to just keep making this hat bigger and bigger and bigger is very big. And I don't know why we're resisting, so let's do it. Well, then maybe in the name of actually being efficient, I can use one of these little things. I think I've probably spent about as much time on this hat as I have on that whole shark person, but I haven't noticed because I'm just like, ha, 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 excellent. The hat is like the size of them. That's what we like to see. Okay, obviously I think this hat might be a little bit too restrained, but I've got to move on from the hat now. Could maybe use like a centerpiece on the front and something on the back, but I'm going to leave it and move on to something else. It's great though. Tried to make the smile more friendly and it's just terrifying. Let's go back to the way we were, please. Some little kind of bracelet things, some bangles. Need to do a loincloth, maybe some sandals. I want to have the skeletal feet. You're going to be cross-legged, but I guess the more sandal I do, the less skeletal feet I need to sculpt, which seems to have got. Where the heck does a belt go on a sculpt? What a heavy chat this episode. And I think that's the heaviest question of all. I would like something in the middle here to strengthen this spine. Well, it's possible with now because they won't clip through the chair, which is the other way to give them some strength. So yeah, I do need to think of some way. We spend like most of the time on the hat.
Washington. Should we go? He looks so good.
Oh, Mr. Bean. No. Oh, wriggly boy.
Wiggler.
Got Mrs. Sassenach coming in there and being very complimentary. She's a big fan of skeletons. I think she always wanted to be a skeleton when she grew up. I really like this pattern on here, so I kind of want to replicate that. Yeah, it's not bad. I figure these bits are sort of like metal decorations. This is like feathers or fur, some rope, and then this fabric lining around the side. I might add the rope. I've just noticed these feathers are much smaller, so I'll do them like that. I should really use the like consistent brush size as such. I think I can do that with scene. Seems about right. Well, it's getting smaller. Scaling shenanigans. Supply the scales. Hope that doesn't mess anything up. That means I'm going to need to rescale the brush, doesn't it? Yep, needs to be about 2.5 times bigger. Seems about right. Why are they still jaggy? It's something to do with the scaling, isn't it? Oh well. It's a bit too uniform with the scales. It's coming in a direction. Oh, that's a bit better. Still not exactly the same, but oh well. Are you right scale? No. Oh yeah, I wanted to do things a bit differently. This one, the metal caps at the top. What is happening? Why is this so weak now? Oh, maybe the din topper? No, who knows? That's fine. Very nice. Oh yeah, this back bit. This back bit probably won't be seen, so this is kind of pointless, but oh well. Maybe it will be. Depends exactly how the seat is. Might be coming out of the, coming away from the back. Sure. And actually, potentially none of this is going to be seen because there's going to be a cat on their lap. So, oh, let's return to the hat. So I cannot resist the hat and just basically do the same thing for that. Nice. Got a silly idea. Let's see if it works. I like this cat face, but I think it needs to be a bit different scale. And then I was thinking of adding some kind of decorative cat ears. She's beautiful. Sorry. They're beautiful. Just sort of winging these, see if they work out. Should also check that everything's not inside out. Good. Always important. Want them to be kind of visible as pointy ears from the front. But well, I think that'll do it. All right, now the hat is beginning to be big enough. Very good. I want to make sure there's enough thickness here. And I want to make sure that this pops enough and details deep enough. Wonderful. Okay, after saying that I'd be reusing a lot of stuff to make this take less time, let's reuse our first thing, the sandal. But we're going to change it quite a bit. I'm like, how many toes does a pleasant hat? Post in the chat if you know how many toes people have. And remember to like and subscribe, like however long into this video is. Pardon me, I'm just going to chop your feet off. Basing these on my wonky toes, so, it looks right to me. I think the scrape tool does a good job of kind of looking like that bone texture. Well, it does need a bit of flattening, actually, this bit. All right, this looks great, if I may say so myself. I'm going to try to get the face to look a little bit less terrifying, which I think means making it more curved and making this more of like a regular smile, or a cartoony smile even. I was thinking getting rid of the creepy teeth, or at least making them a bit bigger. Huge teeth aren't scary, right? Yeah, I prefer that, I think. Maybe if we do continue the Mayan theme, we could have a sort of one of those stepped pyramids. So I was planning to have a pyramid be involved, or a regular pyramid with the cool like capstone, but a similar kind of design as the person. And that would help if I want to have the and these train of flying cats coming out the front, and have some cats rigged up, I hope. So that shouldn't be too difficult. But with the original design where it's this Egyptian chariot, there's no weight on the back. So if I add a bunch of weight to the front, it won't work very well. Whereas if I have something like this, then these things at the front, these cats, that's a lot of cats, you can tell. Now it won't matter so much. The other benefit to the step pyramid is it's a very easy shape, and it sort of continues the Mayan/Aztec theme. I know they are different people, but just going to try and size it out first. I love his cheeky face, or her cheeky face, or their cheeky face, or his cheeky face, or whatever you want. Or there is the just having it at the back and having a sort of seat, but I'm going to try something first. There's a couple different ways to make this shape. Let's see. How do you loop cut? It's going to lie to me. It's definitely not that. No, it's not what I want. Oh well, I can do it like this. Turns out I don't know how to do this. Not like this, I guess. Different strategy. Okay, so it's 2.25 per segment. Remember that for me, viewer. That's not right. Yeah, I'm good. I lost a lot of space there, a lot of height if we do that. Sure. Don't want to make it too wide. Though, given the legs are going to come out, it will be a bit wider. Come on, you can't ball that. What are you talking about? You just sort of cube. Thank you. Okay, so these are the wheels. I need to pose this, but I can't be bothered to do that right now. I've been sculpting a while now, 3 hours or so. Oh, we got a lot done. I think I'm not supposed to be actually like caring about what angles these are at for maximum stability. Any engineers in the chat, let me know. Interesting bevel? Don't like that. It's got to be comfy, of course, for a lich. They're only a kid. Very nice. Okay. Now, a sane person would take a break here, but when I think, do I have the energy in me to make a goblin? My only answer is yes. At least some of the goblin. Okay, so I think this is the better one to use because it's not yet joined. Let's just double check that this rig works. Sort of. Don't know what this thing is about. Oh well, it should still work. I wanted to bring this in. Not too happy that the scale is completely off all of a sudden. Something weird's going on here, but oh well. I'm just going to power through it and have that mess me up later. Lovely bow. Is this a cravat? Someone tell me if this is a cravat. Or if not, what makes it not a cravat? Oh, I should have saved the spheres. Oh well. I need my spheres. Okay, so I got the popped collar. Want there to be something with cool buttons on it, because buttons are classy. I do have a model with some classy clothes actually. A friend of mine's D&D character I sculpted. No, yeah, this was when I was actually trying to do clothes properly. Very nice. Don't remember how I sort of do remember how I did that, and I'm not doing that again. For some people, that's easier, but not for me. I like spheres. I'm going to take this fancy belt though. I might end up replicating that, but yeah, I don't think I really need to. Well, it might be easy enough actually if I just do some cylinders and subdivide them and use a cloth modifier. At first, the puffy shoulders. No, this type of thing would be awesome, but that's way too difficult. At least once the arm starts bending and stuff. Easier to just have something like this. And Scar looks great. Oh man, yes. I'm gonna steal some of this stuff. Yes. I love the flip for the collar. It's gonna be the most fashionable goblin ever. Just want to create a little bit of distance because it's again gonna be very small, so it needs to stand out when it's painted. It's a bit grisly at the back of the collar there. I have to figure that one out. Tintopo, help me, save me from my mistakes. Just try and inflate that. Ooh, it's all the way around. Hoping if I just inflate the hell out of this and then flatten it, that will save me. It's better. We'll keep an eye on it, aka forget about it. Depending on the goblin's hair, can maybe fill it with hair. Okay, so I kind of want this frilliness on the coming through. I think I can do that. So let's double these. It's close. That's what I want, but they're too far away. Swivel. Nice. Well, I mean, that could be nicer. Let's see. It's come out a bit wonky because I think the scaling I did. Oh, it still looks fine. And then this under one, I'm going to do frilly like this. Maybe not quite like that. You're going to neck these again. Maybe put them on the back. Can you duplicate layers in case I want the forearms layer, but I'm thinking I'll just sculpt the forearms rather than try any kind of fancy cloth physics stuff. It's a bit rough, but hopefully you get the idea. This the sort of same white undershirt coming through here, here, and here. We got a nice ribbon tying it off, which I'll make a bit bigger. Sweet, it was very over elaborate. I'm just meant to sculpt the goblin's head. Let's do that. But it was nice. I used to really dread sculpting clothes, so it's nice to have a couple of ideas now when I'm doing things. Let's get the nose done. Shroop. Some artists would say you have to like figure out how ear works before you sculpt it, but nope, it's a lie. That's just artist gatekeeping, being like you should be able to do art. Not true. Why has this happened, Blender? Where's that? Nose needs to be higher to allow room for a big, self-satisfied grin. I always love when the face looks like this. Very shocked. And the goblin does have a bit of a sneaky look. I figure a goblin should have an underbite as well. No offense to anyone with underbites out there. It's just goblinoid. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, it kind of is. Bigfoots don't really get along with goblins. They're kind of like the opposite of trickster spirits, and they're very trickstery. Don't come at me with that sort of new age, like, goblins can be anything. Goblins can be nice, sweet helpers of the community kind of thing. It's like, well, that's not a goblin then, is it? You've got a gnome there, at best. And even then, and they'll all look up at me and cry, could you not make this out of something that isn't a sphere? And I'll look down and whisper, no. Wow, the hair really makes them. Don't know whether to leave some so it's more like a mohawk, but no, I think this is a situation where more is more. Okay, so I want sort of a flat area here. It's where the buttons are going to be. Rather than that does suggest that there's going to need to be a hole in the neck. Guess it could be off center, so it comes down from this side. Yeah, and then something like that. And there's a crease here, and we'll flatten this, because that's going to be where the buttons are. And then kind of here, this comes out all frilly, or wavy, or whatever you want to call it. Sniff these nice buttons. What they got? Tiny little feet would be great for a goblin, actually. Making these boots off of a model I made my aunt for her 60th of her, and her kids as Terminator characters. And you get the kind of boots I'm trying to do. I don't actually know how these top bits work though, but hopefully they'll look good. These are a bit grizzly, aren't they? But I'll just have to do for now. I'll have this tiny legs. We'll make the feet a little bit bigger there. Maybe add a little upturn to them, because that just seems goblin-y to me. Oh, we'll see, because fortunately the symmetry is all messed up, and I'm not gonna fiddle with that at this point. These teeny little things. So do we try for Buffy, it's Buffy kind of thing. Let's just see whether I like it. The simplest thing is to just add some texture to the legs and be like, those are trousers. Yeah, I do quite like that, because it ties it into this top bit, which is more frilly, which I should probably do with the sleeves as well. It's not exactly frilly is what I mean, but wavy. Brocaded? I don't know what you would call it. Plus it makes them just a little bit more androgynous or ambiguous. I was thinking it's looking a bit masculine, which I do not for, wokeness sake. Lord knows, if you've been listening to this channel, you know we're not political here. But just because I've noticed that when kids play with toys, they tend to just randomly assign genders, and I wanted them to be able to do that without someone being like, no, this is clearly a bloke. And it has been fun, actually, because one of my friends was like, well, X, Y, and Z, these are all boys, right? And then another of my friends who got one of the models was like, oh, yeah, she's a girl, right? On like the same characters, which is exactly what I want to have, where, they can be whatever anybody who looks at them wants them to be. And I think we'll leave the legs like that. They're just sort of tights or something. Might add in a tiny bit of detail. Do what I've done before where I sort of add detail and then smooth it away. It's a bit too much. Well, actually, it ties in with that jacket quite well, so I might leave it like that. Gonna nick some flowers. This is very much flower from before I knew what I was doing, so it's very inappropriate at this scale. Although actually, because the Goblin's small, there's a big rose. I guess he's not. They're not gonna be that much smaller. But I might have to make a rose that's less detailed than that, because at high detail, that's just gonna be nonsense. Okay, I think we're probably done. We'll have a break. We'll walk that dog. I doubt I'm getting any painting done today, because I've been in a sculpting fugue for many hours now. But yeah, I'll probably put this out in one big video or a couple videos or something as a side bit. I'm not going to go into as much detail with this as I was with Riley. So thanks everyone. See you.